So, what was your first response to your son coming home one day after school saying, "Mom, there's a black kid in the school. There are black kids in the school." What was your first reaction to that?
I think he didn't complain about the students as much as he did the teachers. The quality of teachers deteriorated, and he wasn't learning. There was a lot of disruption in the class between the blacks and the whites. Um, there wasn't a lot of activities in middle school. So all of the things that went on that was bad was actually in the classroom because they dispersed immediately. And most of it was started in middle school and it escalated. It escalated.
And did you see or hear of any bullying that went on or any conflicts that regarded racial issues?
Um, Jadon, my son, was very skinny and tall and slim, and he was bullied because of being thin. And I had unfortunately had incidents where I had to go to the school because of some of the issues that he had with some of the blacks. But I don't know how to say this, but his answer to me was, the girls were worse than the boys bullying me. And he had to deal with the girls more than he did the boys, the black girls and the black boys. And through middle school, he didn't learn anything. Unfortunately, he had a very struggle with education. And then he went, of course, to a very, very large school in Savannah that was in an area, unfortunately, where it almost reversed. They were more blacks than they were whites, and he had a very hard time in high school.
And then, as a mother, what was one major change you saw in the classroom and public school system after Jadon graduated, or even during, like while he was at school?
The only time parents even saw one another, to me, the only time I ever saw another parent, they didn't have a big PTA or teacher and mother parents relationship, was when there was something going on bad. So we would go to the school only when Jadon was in trouble. And his senior year, when he got into the ninth grade, I actually pulled him out of school and sent him to a learning foundation because in the seventh grade he was reading fourth grade level, which meant he had no comprehension and he was failing. I took him out of public school and I sent him to a learning foundation for a year. When he came out of there, he was a grade ahead in everything that he went into when he went back into the public school. And because of the issues between the blacks and the whites that was going on, which was pretty bad at that time, and he had a stepfather that didn't tolerate any issues with blacks because he was not raised with blacks and he was against blacks. And I had to deal with both my son and my husband at the time, and there was a lot of things that went on in school. My son had a fight in school with a black boy his senior year. I didn't go to the school because it was a big deal when it happened, and my husband went, and he came back and said to me that Jadon had been expelled for 2 weeks, but the other boy was not expelled. Something had happened in the lunchroom. And Jadon says, I'm not going back to school. I'm not going back to that school. He said, because if I do, I'm afraid of what will happen to me. My son, like 3 months graduating, and he did not graduate. He did not go back.
And then the final question is, as a grandmother who had grandchildren recently in the public school system, do you think that segregation is still active?
No, it's not active. It's reversed itself. It's predominantly the schools are, because if you look at the situation, there's so many more private schools now. And so many people, middle class people, are struggling to put their children in. Husbands and wives are working to put their children in private schools to get them out of the public system because the teachers are not as well. They are not teaching. They are actually babysitting in a lot of cases, and they're trying to keep the blacks and the whites from getting into problems. And I have grandchildren that have not graduated from school because of that. And then I had a granddaughter that I sent to private school for 12 years to keep her out of the public education.
Hi, I'm Doris Lanier. I'm 86 years old. I'm married to H.B. Lanier. I'm Chad's grandmother.
How many kids?
I have 3 children and 5 grandchildren, and I think it's 6 great-grandchildren now. I live in Statesboro, Georgia, 311 Meadowlark Circle, not far from Georgia Southern University.
And then where'd you grow up?
I grew up near Brooklet, Georgia, which is a small little town not too far from Statesboro. And there were 6 in our family. There were 3 girls and 3 boys, and only 2 of us are living now. So the others were not older, but they just didn't live as long as we have. Chad's grandfather is 93 years old, and he's enjoying watching television right now. What else?
What was your job, like your teaching?
I got a college education sort of late in life. I had the children first, and then I went to Georgia Southern University and got all my degrees. And I ended up teaching English composition at Georgia Southern in the English and philosophy department. And I taught there for 22 years. I retired in, I think it was 94. It's been a long time ago. I can't remember that far back sometimes.
Perfect, we got that one. All right. And then, all right, this is when we started talking about the integration part. So, with the integration process slowly coming down into Georgia and going into the public school system where you had children, what was your first reaction to that?
I was concerned because I knew there would be problems, because it was just a different situation than had been in the past. And I knew that as soon as you began to mix 2 races that were not accustomed to being mixed together in a classroom, that there would be problems. I don't recall the kinds of problems that happened in high school with my children in, I guess, junior high and high school. But I know that there were problems, but I don't remember that there were many bad problems. Maybe I've forgotten. When I started teaching at Georgia Southern, it was in '72, so that was about the time that was right after integration in public schools. I remember having students, but there was no difference as far as I was concerned in the classes, and I don't recall any problems on campus. Of course, there were not as many students at Georgia Southern at that time as there are now, because a lot of the minority students just didn't try to go to college, which was a shame. But I don't remember, and I may be forgetting some things, it's been a long time ago, but I don't remember having any problems with any of the students in my classes, and they were taught the same as anyone else, and some of them were really good students, and some of them were just like other students. They were just average students, but I taught them the same.
Okay, you basically hit 3 questions all in one. Okay, I could probably make another question then. Like you said, y'all hire some black professors and stuff like that at Georgia Southern. Like, was that different for you, or was it like or I don't know how to word this question. Or did you notice like a different teaching style in them or stuff like that? Or did you even like have close relations with them at all? I don't really. I'm trying to just relate to like a professor's point of view.
I don't recall, there were not very many, because at that time, I guess, a lot of the black professors there were not that many of them. In other words, they didn't go on to get their PhD and that kind of thing back then. So, and all universities were trying to hire some of them because they were required to hire them. And so we didn't have very many. I remember one or two, and they were treated pleasantly by everybody, and as far as I know, did good work in the classroom. So it wasn't a major problem at the college level.
So you'll say there's definitely a difference, probably, excuse me. So you would say there's definitely a difference probably in maturity and how like the court case and everything went about, that the college system was affected more rapidly than the public school system.
Possibly. I don't think there were as many problems. Of course, they had to do certain things, you know. They had to hire some people, and they had to pay them the same salary, and they were just well treated by the faculty. I mean, nobody, certainly at that level, because of the maturity, and everybody was educated. But I think in the public schools it was a different matter. You had young children, you know, coming together that were not accustomed to being together, and maybe, I don't know about the teachers in the public schools. Some of them may have been, you know, discriminating. I don't know, but it's just a different situation at the college level.
And then the last question, do you think segregation still happens in the school system?
I don't know, because I have not been out there in so long. Probably, I don't think you'll ever get rid of all discrimination. I think that happens against all races, not just because whites are discriminated too. They're discriminated against by a lot of blacks, and whites do the same thing. Mexicans do the same thing. It's just something that will happen with some people. So we may not feel that way. There's always somebody around who will. It's hard to get rid of. But it shouldn't be a part of the school system, for sure. Or on jobs. I mean, if a person feels that way, I guess he feels that way, but it shouldn't be a part of the school systems and workplace, for sure. It'd be better for it not to be anywhere.
Hey there, it's me again. I just want to say thank you for watching my video. This is a really fun opportunity and activity to do, because not only did it give me something to do, but it also gave these women something to look forward to during this whole pandemic. This was a very difficult challenge for me because I'm not a video photography kind of guy. I don't know anything about camera angles or anything like that. And then I also tried to respect government rules with the 6 feet apart thing during Corona. So with all that, I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, as much as these 3 women did. The video overall gave me a further explanation of this court case from an actual viewpoint of people that were there, instead of like a textbook viewpoint. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Thank you. Chad Lanier, 811-680-766.